Order up! What is up? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Order Up Podcast. Of course, I'm Taryn Williams. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. So we're going to get right into it. So on this episode, I'm going to be talking about the Marvel Avengers Beta. And whoo boy, I just wanted to talk about it. And it's a lot of fun. Like, just get it right out the back. It's fun. It's definitely fun. I think that was one of the biggest concerns about the game. The people were like, it was kind of over advertised. You saw it everywhere. Would it live up to that hype? And through the beta, which actually went from, or the first beta, which was from August 7th to August 9th on PlayStation 4. So you pre-ordered on PlayStation. You actually got the beta first. Got a chance to try it out before it gets into the Xbox and PSC, the Xbox and PC, and of course the open beta, which is towards the end of the month, August 21st. And the game is fun. The game right out the gate is fun. I think we're going to talk about a little bit of the beta, kind of how it progresses and things like that. Some of the things I learned from the beta, some of my takeaways, things I kind of want them to improve. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. So the beta starts off with the A-Day, with the Avengers Day Demo, which they showed last year at E3. We've kind of been hearing about it, so you finally get to play it. And that portion is okay. It's just kind of like you get like these little snippets of everyone except for Kamala. Kamala's the only person you don't play as, but you play as Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, and then Black Widow. So you get like these little bite-sized portions of everybody. You get a little bit of the gameplay and a little bit how to play the game, but you don't get a whole lot. And you're kind of like, because if that was kind of it, if that was just the beta, I think that would make the beta you feel real shitty because it's not a whole lot. You're like, whatever. And the game kind of does a good job of giving you like little bits and little pieces of the gameplay as you kind of progress through the beta. Because after that, you get to this part where you play with Bruce Banner and Kamala Khan. They're kind of going to like an old shield facility or something like that, looking for Jarvis, and they find that out. Which I'm pretty sure this is probably gonna be pretty early in the base game. So you go through that, you kind of walk and talk. The game looks pretty nice. You're in like this little jungle area at first, and then you fight some robots, turn into the Hulk. The part I really don't like, and I kind of struggle with it, in the 8A part and with this part, is like the Hulk's mobility, because the Hulk jumps and he can like wall grab and do like some little wall running. It's just not, it doesn't really flow the way I think it would. It's kind of difficult at times. We just press X, just press the button, press the button, press the button. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess they want to make it really, simple, where that's not really a focus of the game. But everyone else has such really cool mobility options, and the Hulk just kind of just jumps and can grab on things. This is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I wish the Hulk kind of did something. Maybe I wish it was like a little bit more fluid, because everybody else seems to be a little bit more fluid. But yeah, you go through that mission, you turn into the Hulk, you destroy a bunch of stuff. You end up fighting Abomination towards the end of the Hulk's part, which is really dope because Abomination is big as hell. Then you switch off, you go back to Kamala, you play with Kamala, who I really enjoy playing with Kamala in this beta. And you get kind of a little bit of her like story pieces and things like that, where she kind of, and she's a nice addition. A lot of people are complaining like, why did they pick Kamala Khan? Why is it Kamala and not Hawkeye? They're probably gonna explain that clearly. Like Hawkeye's in the universe, he's gonna be the first DLC character that's gonna be free after launch. Maybe it's his story. Maybe he went off on a side mission. Maybe he was part of the Avengers. He had to leave to do some covert stuff, and now you get to see his side of the story. We don't know. Like, it's comic books, people. Like, people were complaining, why they do this, why they do that. It's comic books. Shit happens in comic books all the goddamn time. Let them tell the story. Like, it might be a really cool story. Like, maybe Hawkeye was brainwashed, and he was like, I gotta leave the Avengers to clear my head and do some stuff on my own for a little bit. We don't know. We have no clue why Hawkeye wasn't initially in this Avengers part. They'll probably explain that in the story. There's probably a story reason why Hawkeye isn't there from the get-go. We don't know yet. So please, like, I just got sick. And Kamala's a fun character. She's like the player. She's like us. Because she's a big Avengers fan. She's like geeking out. She's marking out for everything. When she gets into like, she sees like some old artifacts from like from Tony Stark's like backlog, and he has like old like Cap's first shield and the Mark One gloves, and she starts finding all these little things. She starts losing it because she's like, "Oh my god, this is this," and "Oh my god, I'm hanging out with things." So it's really fun. She reminds me a lot of Spider-Man in the Civil War movie, because he was just marking out and just so excited to be around these people that he's seen watched on TV and idolized. Kamala's like that in the game, and you need that. She's kind of comedy. She like has these little quips and things like that, because she's also like 17, 18, I think. Maybe 16, 17, 18, somewhere like that. And she's pretty young, but she's the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, newbie. And you need that because everyone else has been through some shit. Tony kind of a smart ass, but you need that fun-loving character. And Kamala is that. I also really enjoy her gameplay when it kind of opens up. You kind of get to play with her a little bit, and kind of like a little bit later on, she's actually a lot of fun. Which I'll talk about that in a little bit. So you play with Kamala, you do some stuff. You get through like the aim. Oh no, actually you fight Abomination last. So you go through the Hulk's part, then it switches off. You switch to Kamala, and then Kamala runs into Abomination. Hulk then fights Abomination, and that's fighting Abomination. Kind of like one of the last little bits of that part. Then you go to like an ice part where you go to like the frozen tundra and you do like a mission. And then you get the the helicarrier up and running. You do a couple of hard missions as Kamala, and those hard missions start teaching you some of the other mechanics in the game. And then that's where like the campaign of the beta ends, but the beta doesn't end there. Then you open up a bunch of other missions. It's like 6. It's like 10. No, it's like 6 in one spot. 2. You open up like maybe like about 9 or 10 other missions. I think it's 10 or 11 like other missions that kind of pop up. And yeah, I think it's about 10 missions that pop up. You have to play through those. Plus, you have the other hard missions you have to complete. And after you do all the hard missions, the beta, you finish the beta, quote unquote, because you get like your beta reward where you get like your nameplate. You can use you unlock the weapons in Fortnite. Which I thought was a really, like, people were complaining like, oh, there's Fortnite involved. I'm not gonna buy this game. That's like, what is wrong with you people? Like, okay, they marketed to Fortnite players. That's smart. Fortnite has a massive player base. So if you give them incentive to play your game, maybe you can get some people to buy your game, unlock the Fortnite stuff. You get people to pre-order games. To pre-order the game. That's what you want. That's extra money. So you get the pre-order numbers, you play, you get your little Fortnite weapons. That was smart. Whoever at Square Enix or Crystal Dynamics that came up with that idea, that's brilliant marketing. And people were complaining, like, oh, I'm not going to buy the game just because there's a Fortnite thing. What? No, that's stupid. You're stupid. That makes that has nothing to do with you. If you don't play Fortnite, it doesn't bother you. If you do play Fortnite, here's a little extra incentive for pre-ordering the game. You get to use this weapon, or you get to use these 2 weapon skins. That's a win-win for everybody, especially if you play Fortnite. That was very smart because now you have a whole other player base who might pre-order the game just to play the beta, just to get that skin to use it in their main game in Fortnite. That was brilliant. Like, whoever, because if they pre-order the game and they don't touch Marvel's Avengers ever, Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics still gets that money. So they could care less. So brilliant marketing. But yeah, so after the harm, like after you do after you finish like the little campaign part, you unlock the other 2 characters, which are Iron Man and Black Widow. So you can pick any of the 4 to go through some of the other missions. There is like a Hulk specific mission you have to play as the Hulk, which is fine. But all the other missions you can pick whoever you want. The multiplayer opens up, you can kind of go through it through there. And one of my biggest pieces of the game that I really enjoy was you always get rewarded for something. Like if you're in the hard mission, you get experience and stuff. And at the end of the hard missions, you unlock like artifacts and resources and things like that. If you're playing some of the other, like the drop zone missions or the assault missions or the things like that, or like the war zone missions, guess what? You get rewarded. Either that's gear, that's resources, there's other comics you find, things like that. And the cool thing I like about the comic system, what they didn't talk about ever in the Warzone, which you notice it when you play, the comics actually give you buffs. So if you collect a set of comics, you get like a permanent buff. Even if you have like one comic in that set, you still get a buff. And you get and if you find like duplicates of the same comic, those buffs stack on top of each other, which is really dope. Which I had no idea about that. The gear system is pretty cool. I remember I watched like the IGN preview video, and they were complaining because like the gear doesn't actually change the physical character model, and I'm like, but they never said that. They never said that the gear did that. Like the gear changes your stats and gives you buffs and gives you status effects and things like that, but they never said the gear actually changes how the character looks. They never actually said that. So that's on y'all. And I'm like, but we play other, Final Fantasy VII Remake just came out, and when you put on like accessories and stuff, your character doesn't change. Like the only thing that changes is like your primary weapon, and even that weapon goes back to the default weapon. And like the CG cutscenes, your primary weapon, whatever the base weapon is, for that person, that Cloud Buster sword doesn't change if you change to a different sword in the CG cutscenes. But in the in-game cutscenes, whatever main weapon you have equipped on Cloud, that's the sword he has. But all the other accessories doesn't change. Like Cloud doesn't wear like this weird ass bangle and a championship belt and shit like that in the game. No, it's just a status effect. You just get the boost from it. So I don't understand why that was such a big deal. Where in Avengers you have all different gear, it just gives you status buffs and raises your power level and changes some of your stats and things like that. That didn't bother me. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm perfectly fine with that. Especially if they're gonna have thousands of pieces of gear and things like that. They don't save money. Like, why not put that money, to animate and to create and to design all that gear? Put that into the gameplay. Make the game run smoother. Like, put that somewhere else. You don't need to do that. So I'm okay with that. But you get a lot of gear. It took me a little while to understand how the gear worked. But after you play a little bit, you start to understand like how the gear works. You can dismantle like some of your old gear, turn into resources. You can actually boost your gear that you have to raise the power level. And some gears have like there'll be a perk, and there'll be two more perks, two more perks you can unlock. We have to power up the gear, and as you power it up, you unlock those last two perks, which is cool. I like that. So again, like all your characters can play different. Like my Black Widow was like a super melee. She had like a 200 rating in melee, really dope. But like her defense was kind of low and things like that. My Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, she had like a really good ranged damage. Like my Hulk was pretty balanced. My Iron Man was pretty balanced too. But you can kind of turn these characters. If you want Iron Man to be more ranged, where you get more gear that improves range, you can just have Iron Man be like a ranged beast. Really dope. But I think one of my favorite parts of the game is how every out of the four characters, everyone plays completely different, which is really unique. I was talking to my uncle about this. I really like that because they could have easily has just made everyone cookie cutters of each other, and everyone has the same combo and the same this and same that, and went about it. But they didn't. They took time, and where everyone used the same buttons, but everyone buttons does certain different. So there's a counter button. RT or right trigger, depending on if you're playing on Xbox and stuff. That's your counter button. But everyone has a slightly different counter. Everyone's counter is different, and how it behaves is different. Because like Black Widow has a grapple hook, that's her counter. So she counters, she does her grapple hook, and she grabs to the enemy. She does a couple of hits. Kamala does like this little dodge. She does, she kind of does a dodge. The Hulk's counter is rage. So he'll kind of pop, like he'll scream. He'll get like a little boost with that. And Iron Man has a shield, but also right trigger with it being your counter. It's like this. It's like a unique move for everybody. Where like if you again like, because like Black Widow's counter is also you press R trigger towards the enemy. You just use her grapple hook. So she'll grab to an enemy. She'll grapple to an enemy, kind of like Scorpion. She'll pull towards them. You can combo afterwards. Kamala, if you can hold R, she does. I think it was called. It's called polymorph. Yeah, it's called polymorph, where she gets like a little bit bigger, but it gives her more strength. However, if she gets hit, she loses access to her intrinsic energy, which was so there's your willpower, which is your health bar. Intrinsic energy is that little color bar that's under your health bar, and that's how you use your range attacks, your counter, and your heavy attacks. So if you don't have any intrinsic energy, you can't use range attacks. You can't use range attacks, and you can't counter. It's really cool. So you have to manage that in the process of a fight, and you get it back over time or by hitting like light attacks. And I think I think characters have other specific things that increases that energy, like signature moves. I think can do that. But yeah, so Miss Marvel's Kamala Khan, she probably more she gets a little bit stronger, and so her or she gets like a little bit bigger. Her attacks do more damage. Iron Man's is just his shield, and then I forget does he have another attack? No, he doesn't have another like R2 attack. But the Hulk is really interesting. He gets rage armor. If you hold RT, he gets rage armor. So instead of when he's in rage armor, his willpower or health bar doesn't go down, but his intrinsic energy does, and that kind of like it's really interesting. So when he takes damage, the intrinsic energy goes down, but not his health. His health actually increases when he has rage mode on, and you can also power that up through his skill tree. So it's really unique. And it's like, oh, that's cool. Like you have to learn that. There's vaulting where everybody can vault. Like certain people have different range weapons. Like Black Widow has three. She has her double pistols or her dual pistols, semi or full automatic like Uzis or SMGs, and then she has a high caliber pistol shot, kind of like a Desert Eagle. And then Iron Man, of course, has his repulsors, lasers, and rockets. But Kamala Khan doesn't get anything, and then Hulk doesn't get anything, which is really cool. And I was telling my uncle, if Black Widow is anything to kind of give you a preview of how Hawkeye could play, Hawkeye's gonna be dope. Like it's gonna be so insane. It's gonna animate really dope. I can't wait to see how they animate Hawkeye and Spider-Man. But yeah, but there's all these there's all these little intricate details you get in combat that you don't know, because like like okay, yeah, you have a light combo, which is hitting square 5 times, and with light combo is different. You can go light into heavy, but some like Kamala's her light combo, it gets stronger as each hit goes. So by the time you get to her last hit, it can do like 1,000 damage. If you have her kind of built to do melee, it can do a shit ton of damage. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. Like the Hulk, like a lot of his stuff focuses around being the Hulk, grabbing shit. Like you can grab like kind of like some of the lesser, like the not as strong troops. You can just grab them, and that can convert into different things. He has one where he just slams them around back and forth. He can jump in the air and slam them. Do all these things with that. Iron Man has all his gadgets and stuff on his arm with his lasers and his repulsor and his rockets. So a lot of his skill set is based around those three things. He gets some really cool stuff. And I love how Iron Man fights, because he fights just like how he does in the movies, where he does like sometimes he does like a double repulsor blast. He'll do like one to the left, one to the right. He can do like a no look one. This was actually a move where you press dodge, he dodges backwards and he shoots two while he's kind of spinning. And he shoots two real quick. Black Widow has a fucking shotgun drop kick as one of her moves, where if you're sprinting and you hold square, she does like a forward, a front drop kick, and she kips up out of it. Just really dope shit. Like the game is really, really fun, really, really addictive. You want to keep going, you want to keep playing stuff, you want to keep powering everybody up, you want to unlock new costumes and things like that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. I would definitely say PC, Xbox, Xbox players, if you can, hop on. The open beta is gonna be the 21st, but like if you pre-order it, if you get access to it, I think from April. What am I talking about? August 14th, 15th, and 16th. That's the PC Xbox one. Definitely get on that. I think you just love it, enjoy it. There were of course bugs in it. Some people's games crashed in the beginning. I had some weird bugs where like enemies' dead body would float in midair. The Hulk, he can pick up a big rock and throw it. He threw it at a wall, it never broke. So it was just kind of holding there in midair. Sometimes the characters would load in before Jarvis would finish talking, like like when you load up the stage. Usually there's like a really low camera and like the character does like a little taunt and says something, then the camera whips around them and the mission starts. But for some reason it loaded ahead of time and I couldn't control anybody, and then it loaded up the right way. So yeah, there's like little bugs. Some things I really would like. I really wish. Oh yeah, before I kind of finish, because something I really like that I really want to talk about. Iron Man's flight mode is dope. When he goes in the flight mode, that sensation, that sense of speed, and that sense of you can feel him kicking into like Mach 3 or whatever, is so sick. I kind of wish the Hulk had that sense of speed when he ran. It's the Hulk. Like he should have like a sense of blur, like just a destructive speed about him. He should, because that's the Hulk. Because he runs and it's cool, but he should have like a destructive speed. It should be fast, and he should be something like maybe if you hold rage while you're running, he runs a little bit faster, which would make his momentum would kick in. Maybe it only lasts for like a couple of seconds, but still, like give it like a 10-second timer or something. But the Hulk needs that, because when you click L3 with Iron Man, when you're hovering and you go into flight mode, it just kicks in. You can see like the effect, like the wind going through you. He dives in, the reticle changes. It's so sick. This is a very cool detail about it. There's also something about the fighting too. There's team finishers, which is really dope. So like, you fight Dreadbots in the harm room missions, and so like if you set it up right, you get into a spot and everyone kind of does something different. Where like you can have like Kamala and Hulk, Iron Man, Black Widow, or there's one, excuse me, where everyone does something. Where there's like a team. There's like a team where everyone gets into like a circle. There's like these blue circles you can get into, and everyone, like, you press the takedown button, which is square and circle, and everyone does something. Like everyone does like their little piece of it. It's really sick. And something I learned about the Hulk's like his so also everyone has like 3 hero attacks. There's your assault heroic, your support heroic, and your ultimate heroic attack. Everyone does something different. Hulk's R1, which is really sick, because I kept wondering, like, how the hell does this work? It works really well on big enemies because it's almost like an instant kill where you press it and you go against like a Dreadbot, he'll jump on it and he'll take the top part off and bash it in the head with it. He take off like a leg or something and bash it. It's so. I was like, oh, that's how that works. I was still learning stuff. Like you can still learn things. It's just that's a lot of fun. That's a very well built game where you can still learn things. You're still having fun. You still want to get back in there and play some more. Like it's hard to find that in games these days, and I think Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix have found something very special with it, and they're supposed to keep building it. The world's going to keep going. They're going to like expand the story, like expand the missions and things like that. I'm really curious. I'm very curious to the story because Cap dies, quote unquote, but he's gonna come back. You know he's gonna come back, but you don't know how he's gonna come back. You don't know if we're gonna go back into the future, or we're gonna go back to the past. If we're gonna fast forward, we don't know what's gonna happen. So I'm very curious because he has a character model, so they gotta use that. So I'm very curious to see what they do with Captain America. I'm very curious to see like how the game progresses. It comes out September 4th, but because I pre-ordered, because I spent a little extra money on the pre-order, I get to play it September 1st. Can't wait. I'm so excited. I might stream it. There's gonna at least be gameplay. Debating if I'm gonna stream it or not. Probably am. But it's a fun game. It's really fun. There are some small gripes, Like I wish the Hawks. I wish there was like a combo counter because they even say like in one of the daily challenges I was like do a 6-hit combo. I don't know if I did 6-hit combo. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what counts as a hit. So I think a combo counter would be nice. Some type of combo meter, just something. And excuse me, but also like people were complaining about like the numbers popping up on damage. I don't understand why people complain about that. Like a lot of people don't like that. I love that shit. Give me that visual confirmation. I just did big damage, fam. I need that. I love seeing that. Borderlands spoiled me with that. Yeah, Borderlands really spoiled me with the whole numbers for damage thing because I never really seen it. But that really helps me visually as a gamer, where I can actually see, what damage my attacks are doing. So people were complaining, "Oh, is there a way you can cut off the numbers?" Huh? Like I guess I don't understand. I think some people have OCD that can be distracting. I love that shit. I personally love that shit. Give me big numbers so I can see big damage and I can go big damage so I can be happy about that. Like, come on, if I do a punch, like when I did that combo with Kamala, it did like 1,086 damage. I was like, oh shit. Like I popped off real quick. So, but yeah, people were complaining about that. People were, of course, complaining about Kamala. People were complaining like, oh, Hawkeye, why is Hawkeye not in it? Which I kind of explained earlier. Oh, he should have hair. I kind of like Hawkeye not having hair. Let him, like, we don't know his story. He's probably been through some shit. He might be on some covert stuff. That's what I'm thinking. As I'm thinking, that's probably why he wasn't in the Avengers initially, and why he's kind of like is a different look. He probably went through some covert stuff, and he had to cut off his hair so he wasn't recognizable, so he can do some other stuff. But I'm pretty. They're gonna have like his classic costumes and stuff like that in it, so I know they're gonna do that. Like, and I love the costumes too. Some of the costumes were really, really dope, and they're gonna be more like Spider-Man's costumes are gonna go crazy. And you already know one of the costumes in this game is gonna be Spider-Man from 2018. You already know it's one of the costumes. Which I guess I'm gonna speak on that really quickly. I love that costume with the white logo. And then, like, his gloves were white, and it kind of bled from the logo to his hands and stuff. And you see the white going over his arms. I love that costume, and I'm about 99% sure that costume is going to be in the game. It has to be. It's one of his newest costumes. They're not going to do that. I wonder if they'll do like a Miles one, and you get a different voice to be Miles. That'd be sick. If they put Miles to do a Miles Morales costume, but then also his voice changes to match it, that'd be dope. But yeah, the Avengers beta I think is a success for its first week. For his first weekend of beta tests, I think it did really well. There was like some matchmaking stuff. I didn't do too much with the multiplayer because I just wanted to play the game. Like I didn't really want to be concerned with other people and their connection and shit like that. I just wanted to play, get to know the characters, learn the system, and it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of like it's like a beat 'em up character action game. It's kind of like this hybrid between the two with gear. Like I don't really know what to call it. It's not really a loot beat 'em up per se. Like I wouldn't say all that, but it's definitely fun. It's definitely different. And if it does a really good comic book story, like it seems like it has some good pieces with AIM and MODOK. I mean, you already see MODOK, Abomination, and Taskmaster are already in the game. That's 3 villains. There's probably gonna be a few more. And MODOK might not even be the main villain. Like if he's probably like just the right hand man to somebody bigger. We don't know. It could be Doctor Doom, which I wouldn't be surprised about. I'm just curious. I just can't wait to see like what they do and how the game kind of plays out. So September 4th, it drops for real. Like it drops for real, for real. So I guess September 4th is really A-Day. It's gonna be Avengers Day, September 4th. So definitely, if you're an Avengers fan, if you're a fan of kind of beat 'em ups in a way, character action type stuff like superheroes, I definitely go ahead and check this out. If you're on Xbox and PC, those betas start. Those betas are from, like I said, from August 14th to August 16th. That'll be the Xbox and PC one. Then the open beta for everybody will be starting August 21st. So definitely check out, if you can, check it out for one of the beta weekends. Definitely play it. Definitely enjoy it. Let's like stress out the servers and stuff. Give play Avengers. Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, the Avengers team a lot of feedback, because I think this game has the potential to be a lot of fun. Like it's not like the most visually stunning game in the world, but it wasn't set out to that. It's supposed to be a fun Avengers action game, and I think that's what it is. It can get kind of chaotic. Like the camera does some weird shit. If you watch my video on my YouTube channel, the camera does some weird shit. Like it just does some stuff. If you're in a corner, or if you do like a cinematic move, the camera does some weird stuff, and it goes in between the floor and the ground, and it will swerve in between walls and stuff. It does some weird stuff, which makes sense. It's the beta. The cameras aren't perfect. As we learn in video games, cameras just do its own thing, but that shouldn't hurt the game too much. As long as the game is fun, and it has replayability. Like you can change the level of all the missions from like easy, medium, hard, really hard. It's like challenge 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think. So you can like do all the hard missions, try to unlock all the costumes, unlock all the comic books, do all the daily challenges. It's a lot of shit to do. It's a fun game. I think this first weekend of the beta was definitely a success, and we'll see how the next ones go. Again, I am Taryn Williams from the Oreo Podcast. Of course, you can find me on Twitter, on Facebook. You can actually, if you listen to this on the Anchor app, I have links to all my social media there as well. You can find the website, or if you go to the website, SlicingDicingGaming.com, I have links to all my social media there as well. Also, there's the merchandise section. There's the link that leads to the podcast, to the YouTube channel, to the Twitch channel. I'm trying to do a little bit of everything. Thank you so much for checking out this brand new episode of the podcast. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. I'm trying to crank this out a little bit more when things happen. I have some things planned, but this happened. The Avengers Beta was happening. I had to get a podcast on that. It only seemed right. So thank you again so much for listening, always and forever. Slicing, dicing, gaming. It's not just a motto. It's a lifestyle. I'll see you in the next one. Later.